Good morning, afternoon or evening. Today we're going to be looking at the new country, Poland, in War Selection, and its units, strengths and weaknesses. So, to begin with, we've got the Ulan, which is a Polish cavalry unit in IR1 in the stables. It doesn't require any researches, just to go to IR1 Poland and build a stable. Costs 250 food and 50 wood, making it very cheap and spammable. It does 20 damage to units, 8 damage to buildings, and in IR2 it unlocks a grenade attack which does 100 damage to all units. This unit will probably be most well used as an economy raider and to get rid of forward bases and so on, just with skirmishing and spamming. Next is the Tankette KS from IR1 Poland. It requires the light tank research in the arsenal. It costs 200 food, 200 wood and 400 iron, making it a relatively cheap unit. It has very similar stats to an armoured car with 20 by 5 damage and a faster fire rate from an armoured car. It's got quite good armour at 32 armour. 90% of the time it's going to take 35 armour. Very fast unit as well, so very useful for getting around the enemy quickly, getting rid of artillery and vulnerable units, as its armour lets it run past quite a lot of defences. It's also quite good at running into economy and killing workers. That's all Poland gets for IR1. Just those two units, special to it, sorry. But it does get soldier and ranger reskins, which don't really make any difference other than just looking different. So on to IR2. So once you get to IR2, you'll notice that the Ulan receives the grenades upgrade in the stables, which costs 2,000 food, 1,000 wood, 200 iron. And this unlocks the unit's ability to throw a grenade, which does 100 damage every 8 seconds. So it's like the Russian soldier, but with 95 speed and more damage. The next unit you unlock in the factory for IR2 Poland is the Amphibious Tank. It moves on the ground, and through the upgrade here, it can then go into the water. So you press the upgrade when he's about to enter. So you give him a command to enter the water, press the upgrade, and he changes to the water. It lowers its speed from 60 to 20. Its damage is still at 90, which is relatively good. It has high armor at 40, but when in water, it's got a very small vision radius, making it quite hard to use against other ships and anything else on the sea. For the Tankette KS, you unlock the improvement to the Tankette KD, which says you need IR1, but it really does. You do need IR2 to unlock this upgrade. So when you select the unit, there will be a little upgrade here, which costs 300 wood and 100 iron, and 60 seconds of time. This will then upgrade into the Tankette KD, which gets 100 damage for the cannon. It moves at 70 speed, has the same armour, and fires every 5 seconds at a range of 180. So it's basically a very fast wheeled tank. So the next Polish unit in IR2 is from the Barracks, and it's the only unique unit that Poland gets in the Barracks. IR2 unit which costs 300 food, 300 wood. It has a speed of 50 and low armor, very low health at 60, and an average armor at 1.6. But when used against the enemy, it is undetectable to anything that isn't a machine gun tower or some sort of defensive structure. So if this unit runs into a group of submachine gunners, the submachine gunners will not shoot it, and you cannot make the submachine gunners shoot it. But attack on point commands do work. This unit doesn't have a damage or anything, but it drops something called a suspicious bag that will be dropped where he's standing, and has 500 damage in an area, and it does 0 damage to town halls, unfortunately, but this will then be attacked by other units. So if you drop an explosive bag, other units will then attack it. As you can see, it's got around a 10-second timer as well, so you can get your saboteur out the way, and then there's a big blast radius which you can very well deal with workers. A unique building for Poland is the stone mine, which can be built on destroyed stone nodes like this one here. It unlocks production of the Polish Dragon's Teeth, which replace the anti-tank traps, and it produces 70 stone every 4 to 5 seconds. Obviously that's not perfect, but that's what I've managed to figure out. It's got an armor of 10 and 600 health, but this will help greatly to deal with your economy, seeing as Poland also gets tractors in IR1 and also mines, which are not blocked out. The next country-specific building for Poland is the Dragon's Teeth defensive building, which is a stone block that you place, which replaces the anti-tank trap. It has 300 health, 200 armor, and works exactly the same as an anti-tank trap, but only costs 120 wood instead of any cost of iron, which just makes it a lot easier to spam and defend yourself. So here you can see the Ulan against the usual abstract cavalryman. The cavalryman does 16 times 2 damage with his saber, but the Ulan beat them quite easily with 4 units remaining. Next up we've got the unupgraded Tankette KS. So it's not been upgraded to the Tankette KD yet. So it's facing up against 5 armoured cars, and you can see it does much better against other armoured cars because of its 1 second less firing time. So it fires a volley every 2 seconds while the armoured car fires every 3 seconds. It is also more accurate, but with less damage. Here we have the Tankette KD, the upgraded KS version of the Tankette, going up against 5 light tanks. You can see it's quite a close fight, as the light tanks only have 80 damage, but high armor, but the Tankettes do win, 5 Tankettes versus 5 light tanks. Here we have the Amphibious Tank fighting against light tanks, abstract light tanks, and seeing as the Amphibious Tank has heavier armor and higher damage, it wins quite easily against the light tanks, but because this unit is unlocked through the light tank research, I'm matching up against other light tanks, which it quite easily beats. So, to show the Saboteur, this will be probably its main focus, some workers working. You drop the bomb right next to the workers, which other units start firing at, like these tanks and this worker, but as soon as they destroy it, it blows up, killing all the workers for no cost, as the suspicious bag is completely free. Here you can see it up against tanks, this little group of light tanks. As you can see, they let the Saboteur go all the way right up to them, and only then do they attack the explosive bag. Some infantry, you can see that the units are just completely stuck in here, taking out buildings and army. But this unit, when inside of a vision tower's range, so if there was a vision tower here with all of its range, the Saboteur would get shot at immediately. So you have to be quite careful with the Saboteur and stay outside of vision tower's range to make them more effective. So here you can see the Dragon's Teeth. When they're doubled up, they do not stop infantry, but singular ones do stop tanks, of course. It's their main purpose. As you can see, the soldiers do manage to get through here. So here you can see the amphibious tanks fighting a battleship. The battleship's minimum range is going to cost it heavily here, but because the battleship is actually faster than the amphibious tanks, it can quite easily outrun them and skirmish. As you can see, the amphibious tank has a really small vision range, so the battleship almost managed to get into the fog of war. And now the Ulan up against a few buildings with their grenades. This is only 5 Ulan, and it takes 2 volleys of grenades to take out an airfield. For some reason they're not attacking with melee, but there you go. The Ulan are quite an effective unit, as you can see. And now the Ulan up against these tanks. It's 5 Ulan again, up against 1 light tank and 2 heavy tanks. For some reason they do melee the tank but not the airfield as before. The grenades are hugely effective against tanks, as you can see. There we go. Let's finish off with showing what units Poland actually has access to when it reaches IR2. In the airfield you get all of the planes except from the balloons, so the machine gun balloon and the bomber balloon. In the barracks you unlock everything except from your RPGs, even motorcycles, this making it the third third country to unlock motorcycles in IR2. In the stables you've got the Ulan. In the factory you've got tractors, howitzers, aircraft cars, APCs, tankettes and amphibious tanks, but you're missing out on the light tank and heavy tank, and also on the squadron cannon. In the dock you unlock the battleship for IR2, the machine gun trawler, the trawler, the submarine, the torpedo boat and the steamboat at the same time as everyone else. And that is all of Poland's units. Overall, Poland's to be a strong country with a great support role using its stone mine and having some sort of counter to most units, such as their tankette KS against infantry and cavalry, and their tankette KD against tanks and armour, the amphibious tank for assaults across water, and the powerful grenade Ulan for skirmishing and destroying economies. So, thank you everyone for watching, enjoy the rest of the day, and goodbye.